Okay, everyone, let me tell you what's going on here. So Chris is out of town, and I need to review the Sigma 35mm f1.2 version 2. I needed someone to film me, so I got Evelyn from the Camera Store TV to shoot this, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I have had a huge crush on her for like forever, so I need to review this really, really well, take good pictures, and I don't know, maybe I can impress her? Okay, today's episode is all about the wonder and majesty of the 35mm focal length, and I don't recommend just like jumping into the deep end with a 35mm f1.2 with super shallow depth of field that's expensive and big. No, if you want to just try dipping your toes in the water of 35, I would talk to our good friends over at KEH.com, because they have a huge selection of 35mm lenses in absolutely every lens mount available under the sun. And you know, if you grab a used lens from them, their experts have checked it. They're going to give you an accurate assessment of the quality on it and make sure that it's going to work for you. And if you're a weirdo like Chris who doesn't like 35mm, well, don't worry. If you change your mind, they do still have a generous return policy. So if you're looking to check out any used 35mm lenses, the only place to go is KEH.com. That's why they're PetaPixel's official pre-owned camera gear partner. Hey, Evelyn from the Camera Store.
Hey.
How do I look?
Very nice.
Okay, let's go review a lens. Come on. So interestingly, this is the second version of Sigma's 35mm f1.2. And oddly enough, we never reviewed the original. I'm sure it has nothing to do with Chris having an aversion to this particular focal length. But we did recently look at the Viltrox 35-1.2 and found that to be an absolutely fantastic value, but that lens was big. The exciting thing about the new version too is not only does it promise to be better optically, but this thing is incredibly small. This f1.2 lens is only 745 grams, just over a third of a noct, which is incredibly impressive for a 1.2. I mean, the previous lens was fairly well regarded, but that was 1,050 grams, like half a noct. It was a big sucker. And they've also scaled back some of the other dimensions. This is a 72mm filter, which is very easy to find if you do need to put a little bit of ND on there, because this is a bright lens, you might want to cut some light a little bit. It has all of the professional controls we'd expect from a Sigma Art Series lens. We've got a really well-damped manual focus ring, autofocus manual focus selector switch, custom button, and we have an aperture ring on it that can be clicky or declicked if you're shooting video, as well as an aperture lock so you can leave it in the auto setting. And this is built to Sigma's best specifications. It's fully weather sealed. We've got a beautiful hood on this. The entire construction of this lens just screams quality. Evelyn, does this lens make me look strong and smart and cool?
Yes.
Perfect. The other thing I really like about this is we've got Sigma's latest linear motors in this. And you might think like a 35mm, that doesn't need incredibly fast focus, but also remember, this is an f1.2, so the focus has to be incredibly precise. And looking at this here, going from minimum focus to infinity, you can see it's incredibly fast motors on this. And that means if you need to just catch an eye right as someone's turning away from you, this lens is going to be able to keep up. Flare is something Evelyn has in spades, but it's something I don't want when I'm shooting directly into the sun, and we're getting kind of interesting results from 35 f1.2. So it does absolutely maintain contrast when you're shooting straight into the sun. You can see it doesn't really have much of a washed out look. My concern is you do get a fair amount of ghosting with this. So shooting wide open, the ghosts are present but kind of hard to see. But as you stop this lens down, you can see there's very distinct blobs on it. It's just something you really want to double check for when you're shooting straight into the sun for like a backlit portrait or something. Okay, let's talk bokeh on this lens. And if you're looking at a 35mm f1.2, you're clearly interested in shallow depth of field. And I'm pleased to tell you, the focus transitions from in focus to out of focus are very, very nice on this. And a big part of that is that specular highlights are really clean. You don't have a soap bubble effect around the outside ring, almost no onion rings in the middle of your specular highlights. That said, this lens has an extremely strong cat's eye effect. So if you really like swirly bokeh, this lens is going to be awesome. But if you want to get rid of it, you have to stop way down to f2.8 before you start to see circular specular highlights towards the edge of the frame. Bokeh is lovely on this lens, as long as you love that cat's eye. Ooh, there's some LoCA there. Let's talk about it. Okay, so what is LoCA? Well, that's longitudinal chromatic aberration, where you get these bright color shifts in the foreground and background autofocus areas, and it's annoying because it is actually quite difficult to get rid of in post. Well, as I just implied, looking here, you can see we do get a bit of green and magenta highlights in the foreground and background areas on this, and this is a lens that you're going to want to shoot wide open all the time, so you have to be really careful. You are going to see some LoCA with this lens. Now, 35mm is a lens that you're going to use a lot for video and cinematic work, and one thing I always want to check with these lenses is breathing. And breathing is when you focus from close to far, how much does the field of view change? Does it look like you're zooming the lens? Because if so, it can actually be really distracting, and I'm happy to say 35 f1.2 is actually quite good. The frame does move a little bit, but it's certainly not going to be distracting if you wanted to, say, pull focus from one actor to another. This is a solid performance. Okay, so the biggest question when we're looking at a professional lens like this, is it sharp? And fortunately, Chris was able to shoot our chart tests before he left town. And let's look right at the middle, shooting wide open. I'm actually extremely impressed. This is very, very sharp. There is a little loss of contrast when you're shooting wide open. As you can see, when we stop the lens down, we got tons of detail and lots of contrast there. But looking at the corners here, we do see a little bit of softness when you're shooting wide open. Now, if you stop that down, you get very, very sharp corners on this, but I think if you're planning to shoot this lens at f1.2 all the time, you want to keep your subjects a little bit more central in the frame. All right, here's what I know you've all been waiting for, and that's my conclusion. Not at this lens first, but how things went with Evelyn, and I'm happy to tell you we've actually been together for almost 2 decades and married for 16 years. But I always find it really funny. People are surprised that we're together. Now you all know, but let's talk about this lens. And it's funny because I just reviewed the 135mm f1.4 also from Sigma, and this lens kind of feels like its exact opposite. That was a giant, unwieldy lens, but the results from it were just optically unbelievably good, where here we've got a lens that's far smaller than I would expect a 35mm f1.2 to be, but there are a few trade-offs because of that. So the real question is, should you buy this lens? And if you're in the L mount, I think this is a great way to go. We didn't review the original 35mm f1.2, but everything I saw indicated you needed to stop it down a little bit for maximum sharpness in the center, and this is extremely sharp in the center, even wide open. It just gets a little more complicated if you're an E mount, not because Sony's making a 35-1.2, but because we just reviewed the giant but excellent Viltrox 35mm f1.2, which is substantially less expensive than this. So you just kind of have to pick. Would you rather save some money and deal with the bulk of the Viltrox, or spend a little bit more and get a very compact lens that can give you very shallow depth of field? Honestly, I don't think there's a right answer there. They're both excellent.
Just got a little
Did you get it?
little guy, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
And thanks for shooting this episode.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you all for watching it. So let us know what you think of this new lens in the comments below. We're going to be talking about it soon on the PetaPixel podcast. You watch the PetaPixel podcast, right?
I listen to the PetaPixel podcast while I'm driving around. It's phenomenal. I always love the podcast. I love Darren, I love Chris, and Jordan, of course.
And if you want to see it, you can watch it right here on this same YouTube channel. And you know, if you want to support the good work that we do here, the best way is with a PetaPixel membership. You have a PetaPixel membership, right?
No, I just logged into your account, but I'm gonna get one.
The ultimate betrayal.
I didn't realize actually how affordable it was.
Let me tell you what a great deal it is.
Yeah,
for only $3 a month or $30 for an entire year, you can go to PetaPixel, ads free. You can check out the sample galleries we shoot, full resolution RAW and JPEG files, and there's discounts as well from the Moment store, from KEH.com,
I'm all about
from our merch store. Like this great shirt is from the merch store. Thank you so much for watching this video. We will have more PetaPixel coming up soon.